Hey, what's going on everybody? Jason here, and welcome back to another Call of Duty video. In light of CDL champs, I'm going to be ranking all of the Vanguard competitive ranked play maps from worst to best. Now, before we get into the video, if I sound a little bit funny in this video, it's because I'm just now getting over a cold. But anyways, with that said, let's go ahead and jump into the ranking. Now, for those of you who don't know, I've dabbled in ranked play on my Twitch channel several times. Ranked play and competitive play in Call of Duty, for what it's worth, is actually pretty fun. With the previous Call of Duty games, I was never really involved in the competitive play aspect. I liked watching the competitive esports events, but I never really played it myself. And this year with Vanguard, I decided to pick it up and see how it went. And I had some fun with ranked play in Vanguard. Now, obviously, Vanguard is a broken game, and things weren't as enjoyable as they could have been, but for the most part, playing with friends and hanging out on stream with them and having a great time doing some competitive Call of Duty, that was really fun. This list is based off of my personal opinion on which maps I would prefer to play. This isn't the objective best maps from worst to best. These are just the maps that I prefer to play and the maps that I don't like versus the maps that I do like. So with that said, there are only 5 competitive maps in Vanguard ranked play, and coming in at the number 5 spot, I have Desert Siege. Desert Siege, in my opinion, is too big and too open for a competitive Call of Duty map in my opinion. Especially when the teams are 4 versus 4, you have a lot of ground to cover, which some may argue makes it more competitive, but I don't like how big the map is. A map like Desert Siege is a sniper's paradise, and that can be kind of annoying for a lot of players, including myself. There are a lot of corners for rats to hide in on Desert Siege, not just in the main building, but back at the spawns, up in the towers, and everywhere you can think of, there's some kind of corner for people to hide in. Another thing that makes Desert Siege number 5 on my list is that there's only one game mode for you to play on Desert Siege, that being Search and Destroy. I don't have a problem with Search and Destroy, but when there are 3 game modes for ranked play, those being Hardpoint, Search and Destroy, and Control, and there's only one of those game modes on Desert Siege being Search and Destroy, then that kinda sucks. Overall, I think this map is too big for 4 versus 4 competitive play in Call of Duty, and the fact that there's only one game mode being Search and Destroy kinda puts a damper on it, and not to mention there are a lot of corners for rats to hide in. And those are the reasons why I think Desert Siege comes in at the number 5 spot. Next up, coming in at number 4, I have Gavutu. Now, I actually used to like Gavutu, but now I really don't. If Desert Siege was a haven for snipers, Gavutu is a haven for the AR player. If you're an SMG player on Gavutu, or even Desert Siege for that matter, because of so many long-range sightlines and so many long-range engagements you're gonna have to take, you might not be doing the best on this map. And honestly, that's my one big issue with Gavutu, is that the SMG players often struggle on this map. At least, that's what I notice. Gavutu, just like Desert Siege, has a lot of long-range sightlines, and oftentimes you're gonna have to fight at longer ranges despite you having an SMG. Now, you could make the argument that this could make the SMG player better because you're gonna have to shoot at longer ranges and it makes you train yourself to be more accurate with your SMG. But oftentimes, because I run an SMG, I find myself trying to give suppressing fire to the guy at top boat because top boat is such an OP position on this map. Sometimes when you spawn back at P4, you have that long-range sightline straight down the middle all the way to that red tower, and you can get beamed immediately 2 seconds after you spawn in. And not to mention the long-range outer beach engagements that can also be highly contested. But that's enough about that. Another thing I don't like about Gavutu is the spawn trapping. Oftentimes when you find yourself playing Control on Gavutu, because the offense spawns in the same spot over and over and over again, the defense can easily spawn trap you. And personally, I don't think that's very fun to watch or play competitively. Gavutu does have some interesting and kind of cool areas. For example, I do like where the P1 hardpoint is located. I like the bottom of the boat, but top boat can be kind of annoying sometimes to deal with. P3, or the B control point on Control, is actually a very hot contested point of the map that can make for some very intense competitive moments. And P4 and P5 to me are just whatever. So there are some kind of cool things about Gavutu, but overall, I don't like that the majority of the time people are only going to be playing with ARs, and the spawn trapping on Control can get very annoying. And that is why Gavutu comes in at number 4. Next up at number 3, I have Berlin. I think Berlin is a cool map. I think the layout is very well thought out. Every area of the map connects to each other very fluently, and I think this is a very good competitive map. Hardpoint and Search and Destroy on Berlin is actually really fun, but Control can be a toss-up sometimes. Ever since they added Berlin to the Control rotation, it's been kind of a weird experience to play. I don't necessarily have a problem where the control points are located on Berlin, it's just very strange for me to play. I don't know how to describe it, but that's not to say that I can't have fun on it. You have areas on the map like P1 that are very highly contested at the very beginning of the game, and it can make for some high action moments. Moving on over to P2 and P3, those can also be some very crazy areas for some crazy gunfights. Sometimes it feels like P4 is constantly changing hands because of how competitive that hill is, and P5 is always a toss-up because it's right smack dab in the middle of the map. So there are some very interesting areas on this map that make for some good competitive moments, like moving on over to Search and Destroy. The B bomb site being in that building make for some very interesting tactical plays. Having someone run Overwatch from useless as your team rush plants B, that can catch the opponent off guard. Or you can take it the slow and steady wins the race approach and slowly creep your way over to A and get yourself set up. There are a lot of different strategies you can use on Berlin, and I feel like every single game I play, there's some sort of different strategy that you can use. Overall, I think Berlin is a pretty good map, but the only reason why it's at number 3 on this list is because I prefer to play the other 2 maps more. And moving on over to another map, coming in at the number 2 spot, I have Bocage. Hardpoint on Bocage is a chaotic experience, and I love it. There is always a chance for you to get back into the game, even if you're down by 100 points. The hardpoint locations are fun to play in and to watch. Some of my favorite moments of the CDL this year are on Bocage in hardpoint. There's always some kind of action happening on Bocage at the hardpoints, especially when you start the game right away at P1 and all the players are vying to get as many points as they can off of the initial break of the first hardpoint. It can get really hectic. Or you could just ignore the first hardpoint altogether and set up your team for P2 spawns, and that can be a really good strategy too. Whether you're an SMG player or an AR player or even the wildcard player that brings a sniper into hardpoint to quickscope everybody, Bocage has a play style for you. Oftentimes, games of hardpoint on Bocage don't even go up to the actual score and the time limit runs out. To me, that just shows how competitive this map really is. And even Search and Destroy on this map can be entertaining. To me, it doesn't seem like the offense or the defense have the advantage here on Bocage. It seems about even in my opinion. Sure, you have a couple of OP spots. For example, if you want to watch the A bomb site, you can sit on the back tank, and that's a really good spot for watching the bomb site. But overall, I don't think there are that many OP spots on Bocage, and the offense and the defense can both use interesting strategies to get the leg up on the competition. Bocage can be hectic fun, but also tactical on Search and Destroy, which is why I think Bocage comes in at the number 2 spot. And finally, coming in at the number 1 spot on my list and what I think is the best ranked map in Vanguard ranked play and for competitive play in Vanguard altogether, Tuscan. For all 3 of the game modes, Hardpoint, Search and Destroy, and Control, Tuscan plays really well. When it comes to Hardpoint, all of the hardpoints make for some good areas of contention. P1 and P2 seem like the hottest hardpoints, and even moving on over to P3, that can be very competitive. However, I do have to say the one thing that I don't like about P3, and really the only thing I don't like about Tuscan, is the back heady spot where people can head glitch that and shoot everybody coming from mid. I think it's kind of annoying to deal with, which I guess that's the whole point of it, but I'm still annoyed. P4 and P5 are also very competitive. Moving on over to Search and Destroy, the A bomb site will always guarantee some sort of quick engagement. Whether it's somebody watching the push from field or somebody at top church watching the A bomb site, there's always going to be some sort of quick engagement at the beginning of the game. And honestly, not a lot of people go to the B bomb site, I notice, on Tuscan, at least for the games that I've played, but the B bomb site can also be very competitive. If you're the offense and you can get the bomb planted at B and then dig your heels in and defend that bomb site, you have a lot of coverage, and the defense is going to have to go offensive, and it might be hard for them to do that. So Search and Destroy on Tuscan can offer some tactical moments and some fast-paced moments. And when it comes to Control in not just ranked play, but the entirety of Vanguard, I think Control plays the best on Tuscan. The A and the B zones are in the perfect positions on Tuscan, and control is already very competitive on the previous maps, but I find myself being more competitive on Tuscan. There's something about the control points on Tuscan that make you and your team have to work together a little bit extra, and in turn, when you get to work with your team as a well-oiled machine and you take one of those control points, it is a satisfying feeling. And realistically, the offense and the defense both have an equal chance to win control on Tuscan. It's not like Voodoo, for example, where the defense has a clear advantage because all they have to do is spawn trap the offense at the cliffs and it's GG's. I know that it is technically possible to do some kind of spawn trap on Tuscan, but at least on Tuscan you have more lanes to escape, whereas on Voodoo it's just one big straight line. For example, you have that one alleyway that takes you over to the fields, you have the other alleyway that takes you up the stairs to top fire, and then you have the rooftops to the right side of the spawn that takes you over to P5. So you have many points of escape if you sense a spawn trap coming. Tuscan is probably the perfect size for a 4v4 competitive map in this game. It's a close quarters enough map where the SMGs can have a field day, but there's also some decent long range sight lines where the ARs can also have a field day. There's a lot of give and take on Tuscan, and there are a lot of areas on the map that are high risk, high reward. Overall, I find myself having the most fun on Tuscan, and I think Tuscan is a great competitive map. And this is why I believe Tuscan comes in at the #1 spot as the best ranked competitive map in Vanguard. And that, guys, is going to be the end of today's video. What do you guys think about my ranking of all of the Vanguard ranked maps from worst to best? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. Anyways, guys, thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more, leave a like and subscribe if you're a brand new viewer, and check out all the links down below in the description so you stay up to date with everything that I do. And with that said, have a fantastic rest of your day or night, depending on where you are in this crazy world, and I'll see you guys next time.